Now, let's look at example 2, where we apply the net change idea to motion. We are told that the acceleration of an object is 8 of t equals 8 times sine of t. And the initial velocity is v of 0 equals negative 10. Remember the relationship between position, velocity, and acceleration? Acceleration is the derivative of velocity, and velocity is the derivative of position. Question A. We want to find an equation v of t for the object velocity. We're given the acceleration. 8 of t equals 8 times sine of t. 8 of t is the derivative of the velocity. So 8 of t is v prime of t. To find v of t, I take the integral of v prime of t. And v prime of t is 8 of t. And 8 of t is 8 times sine of t. 8 is a constant that is multiplying by sine of t. So I can pull 8 out to the front of the integral. So I have v of t equals 8 times the integral of sine of t dt. And the integral of sine of t dt is negative cosine t. So I have negative 8 times cosine t plus c. To solve for c, we use the initial velocity. V of 0 equals negative 10. That means when t equals 0, v equals negative 10. So I plug in t equals 0. V of 0 equals negative 10. Cosine of 0 is 1. So I have negative 10 equals negative 8 plus c. To solve for c, I add 8 to both sides. So c equals negative 2. So the equation v of t is negative 8 cosine t minus 2. Question B. We want to find the object's displacement from 0 to 3. Remember, displacement is the integral of velocity. So we compute the definite integral from 0 to 3 of v of t dt. And v of t was found in question A, which is negative 8 cosine t minus 2. So we have the definite integral from 0 to 3 of negative 8 cosine t minus 2 dt. The integral of negative 8 cosine t is negative 8 sine t. The integral of negative 2 is negative 2t. And we want to evaluate this from 0 to 3. First, we plug in t equals 3. So we have negative 8 times sine of 3 minus 2 times 3. Minus. Now we plug in t equals 0. So we have negative 8 times sine of 0 minus 2 times 0. So I have negative 8 times sine of 3 minus 6 Sine of 0 is 0. 0 times negative 8 is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. So this becomes 0. So I have negative 8 times sine of 3 minus 6. Let's use the calculator to evaluate negative 8 times sine of 3 minus 6. First, make sure your calculator is set to radian mode. Press Mode button, then scroll down to select radian. Press Enter. To exit the screen, press second, quit. Now enter the expression. Negative 8 sine of 3, close parentheses, minus 6. And press enter. This is our answer. And I have negative 7.128960064. And I want to round to 4 decimal places. So my answer is negative 7.1290 meters. Question C. We want to find the total distance traveled from 0 to 3. The formula for total distance is the definite integral from 0 to 3 of absolute value of v of t dt. And v of t is negative 8 times cosine t minus 2. So I have the definite integral from 0 to 3 of absolute value of negative 8 cosine t minus 2 dt. Now, we need to check where the velocity is positive or negative. This is the graph of negative 8 cosine t minus 2. And this is the region from 0 to 3. From 0 to here, the velocity is negative. And from here to 3, the velocity is positive. So we want to know where this is. So first, we set v of t equal to 0 and solve for t. To solve for t, I first need to isolate cosine t. So first, I add 2 to both sides. I have negative 8 cosine t equals 2. Then, I divide both sides by negative 8. So I have cosine t equals negative 1/4. To find t, I take the cosine inverse of negative 1/4. And that is around 1.823476582. So when t equals 1.823476582, the velocity equals 0. I'm not rounding this number because this is not my answer yet. I need to use this number for further calculation. So I either use this long number or use the exact value cosine inverse of negative 1/4. So the integral from 0 to cosine inverse of negative 1/4 is negative. And the integral from cosine inverse of negative 1/4 to 3 is positive. So the integral from 0 to cosine inverse of negative 1/4 is negative. The integral from cosine inverse of negative 1/4 to 3 is positive. In this problem, I want the total distance. And I want the integral of absolute value of v of t. That means I want all positive integrals. This one is already positive, but this one is negative. And I want to turn this negative into a positive because I want an absolute value. So to turn a negative to a positive, I just multiply this by negative 1. So instead of just taking the integral from 0 to cosine inverse of negative 1/4 v of t, I take the negative of that integral. This will turn this area into a positive area. So to find the definite integral from 0 to 3 of absolute value of the velocity, I need to split the integral. Instead of going from 0 to 3, I split it up into 2 pieces. The piece from here to 3 is positive, so I leave it alone. The piece from 0 to here is negative, so I multiply that by negative 1 to make it positive. And the total distance is this integral plus this integral. And we will replace v of t with negative 8 cosine t minus 2. And the integral of negative 8 cosine t minus 2 dt was found in the previous problem, which is negative 8 times sine t minus 2t. Next, I'll need to evaluate each part. For the first part, I plug in t equals cosine inverse of negative 1/4. Minus, when I plug in t equals 0, I have sine of 0 is 0. And 0 times negative 8 is 0. Negative 2 times 0 is also 0. So this becomes 0 when t equals 0. For the next part, I plug in t equals 3. So I have negative 8 times sine of 3 minus 2 times 3. Minus, then I plug in t equals cosine inverse of negative 1/4. So I have negative 8 times sine of cosine inverse of negative 1/4 minus 2 times cosine inverse of negative 1/4. Now I'm going to distribute this negative sign. This term becomes positive, and this term also becomes positive. So I have 8 sine of cosine inverse of negative 1/4 plus 2 times cosine inverse of negative 1/4 plus negative 8 sine of 3 minus 6. Then I need to distribute this negative sign. So this term becomes positive, and this term also becomes positive. So I have positive 8 sine of cosine inverse of negative 1/4 plus 2 cosine inverse of negative 1/4. These two are like terms, so I have 16 sine of cosine inverse of negative 1/4. And these two are like terms as well, so I have 4 cosine inverse of negative 1/4. And minus 8 sine of 3 minus 6. And we'll put this in our calculator to get the value. Make sure your calculator is in the radian mode. Now, we are going to use the calculator to evaluate the expression. Before we start, we need to make sure calculator is in the radian mode. Press mode, go down, make sure radian is highlighted. To exit the screen, press second, quit. Now, we're ready to evaluate the expression. Type 16 sine. To enter cosine inverse, we type second cosines, negative 1/4. Close parentheses, plus 4 cosine inverse, negative 1/4, close parentheses, minus 8 sine of 3, close parentheses, minus 6. Enter. And this is our answer. So I get 15.65687965. And I want to round to 4 decimal places. So I get 15.6569 meters.